EGM Network.
Treasure Coast Connector. Connecting residents and businesses of the Treasure Coast. And here's your host, Ellen Contreras.
Welcome to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras. I want to just say this episode is proudly sponsored by Libby Weissman and her team at Senior Transition Navigator and Luxury Homes of the Treasure Coast. They work with seniors and their families to help them navigate into an amazing senior lifestyle. They do this with services like downsizing, decluttering, packing, moving, relocation, real estate sales, and more. So for a free consultation, call 772-783-2800 or visit seniortransitionnavigator.com, luxuryhomesofthetreasurecoast.com. Now, home improvement projects, they can be so exciting, but a little scary, especially if your contractor delays the start of your job, or even worse, if they take your money and then you never see them again. And joining me in the studio is someone who can make sure that your renovations go smoothly and protect you from unscrupulous contractors. Miriam Cala-Morrissette is the owner of MCM Project Management, and she is here with a very unique service that all homeowners need. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Ellen. How are you?
I am good. And I have to say, because you and I know each other through Anna's, networking lunches, when you got up and talked about the business that, you were launching, but this is not new to your background, but when you were describing it, I made a beeline for you after.
Yep.
Because I'm serious, you are going to be like someone that I will work with if I ever want to make, and who doesn't want to make a change to their home at some point. My husband, I told him, and he said, wow, like seriously, nobody's doing this. We need you. You're going to have to clone yourself, okay? Or build a team of people, project managers. But we're going to get into that in a moment. But what I really want for people to know is why, like, what is your background? Why did you want to get into this? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. My father is and was, he's retired now, a luxury home builder. And I, at a very young age, probably around 5 years old, he was building his first house, and I was exposed at that time. And then it continued all the way through high school, where I would go to job sites with him, and I was just, he would tell me the different steps of what was going on and what was coming next and how this was put together. And I was just fascinated.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I wanted to be an architect, but I figured out very quickly that that was not the case. And I went into a construction management program at the University of Cincinnati and graduated one of the first females with a construction management degree.
Yeah, I saw some of your photos, some pretty big job sites. And so that's great. But now you are doing this for the homeowners. So this is residential that you're moving into now.
Yes.
Or I should say back into, because you do have that in your wheelhouse.
Yes. Now I am doing commercial work too. But yes, mainly residential. I worked in the industry for 30 years. Prior to last year, when I decided to go off on my own and become a consultant, working for some of the largest commercial construction companies in the world, like Turner Construction. A lot of people have heard of them.
Oh, sure.
The CBRE is a huge real estate developer that also, does construction. So I've worked for both of them, and I worked in Ohio, and I've worked in Florida, and I did own my own company for a short period of time. It was in Ohio, where we were building residential. And then the downturn came. Yeah. So that's actually when I moved to Florida.
Oh, okay. And everybody had to pivot. And then we repivoted. And that's what life is, So we, and we're in Florida in the citrus industry. And I like puns. Cindy knows this. So you had lemons handed to you, beautiful Florida citrus lemons, and you made lemonade. Okay, so very good. We consider our homes our sanctuary, right? And if there is, and of course, it's like the kitchen and bathroom renovations, right, are like some of the biggest ticket items. And there are so many choices that somebody can make. So what is your advice when someone is considering any type of renovation of their home?
So I believe the most important thing is to have a budget, to know how much you can spend. If there's any wiggle room, or give yourself 10% contingency, so
The variance.
Right,
yeah.
variance, so that if something changes, which it will, that you're not caught, and you're not over budget. But I do think that that's the most important thing, as well as your schedule. When can you start? When do you need to finish? Are you going to be traveling? Those two things those would be the first two things I would talk to a homeowner about. And and even if they weren't prepared with that yet, I could help prepare them with that. Once you have a budget and a schedule in mind, again, like some people will come to me and they already, they want to use a certain general contractor, maybe a friend or a family member. That's fine. But a lot of people will come to me and say, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to look.
Yeah.
And like you said, you don't know who these contractors are. And I mean, obviously in these days, people are doing work with and without licenses. That's happening all the time.
Scary,
Right.
yeah.
Because if something happens, and they don't have insurance, then you're going to be liable, whether it happens to them, but because it was on your property, or they make a mistake and then they just run away. So it could be ridiculously costly. So of course, the first thing that we're going to we'd look at for a contractor would be if they were licensed. You get on Sunbiz, you get on DBPR, right?
Yeah.
Also, licensing board for Florida, and just, I mean, it's a lot like anything else you would choose, but you want to know what their reputation is, how long they've been in business, are they do they have roots here, or are they building in different places at different times, or were they in Virginia one day and New York the other day, that sort of thing. It's the roots and the reviews, that you find. So you can, I mean, you can start. I mean, people will Google search. That I would start at the state level, actually, because if there's complaints or claims, that's something you're going to find right away. If they have a license, you're going to also find that out right away. And I can assist with that. I know most people do know how to use Sunbiz.
Right. No, a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't. So that's why. So we're going to get into like your services, but this is a way in which you help people. And that's an invaluable part of your service. So like, and I was just going to ask you, like, if someone, like, what does someone do if they haven't met you, right? They're listening to this and it's already, they feel a little too late because they had someone come in, they got a quote, they paid a down payment, and they just can't get the person to like come back in. What do they do?
Okay. Well, unfortunately, if they chose somebody that's not licensed, there's really nothing they can do. And I wish I had a better answer.
Okay.
But if you have chosen somebody that's licensed and is, shut down, let's say, or just is ghosting you,
maybe they're just so overwhelmed with work,
or they're and they keep putting you off.
Yeah.
That's when you would get into the licensing part of it, and you go to DBPR or Sunbiz, and definitely DBPR would be where you put in the claim or a complaint, and they're actually very good for a government agency. They're very good at the follow-up. And, if it's money related, there's things that you can do before hiring an attorney, because an attorney could end up costing you more than whatever money you're owed. So I would start with the state board.
Right, what you can do on your end. No, I really like that. So what I'd like to do, I'm just looking at the time, is we're in a new studio here, and it's just so cool. I just love how everything is laid out. But before we cut to the commercial break, I want you to give out your contact information for those that are listening on iHeartRadio and the podcasts.
Okay, so yes, my name is very long and complicated, so I've used my initials basically as the name of my company, which is MCM Project Management, or even MCM PM to be really short.
Okay.
My email address is Miriam, Miriam, at mcmpm.net, and my cell phone number is 772-932-1214.
Very good. Okay, so what we'll do, we're going to cut 30 seconds early, Cindy. You impressed with me? Because we have so much to discuss about Miriam Cala-Morrissette's service of MCM Project Management. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Sunshine Furniture during our winter sale event. Save 50% on all Tommy Bahama and Lexington, including the newest collection, Key Biscayne. Living room, dining room, occasional chairs, office and media furniture with sophisticated design and a mix of coastal and Caribbean style. All Tommy Bahama and Lexington offer everything you need for your Florida living. We have the largest selection of in-stock coastal furniture from Four Seasons, Capri, Universal, Riverside, Hooker, Sea Winds, Barca Lounger, Best, and lots more. At Sunshine Furniture, we're the outdoor furniture experts specializing in patio sets that withstand the Florida elements, and we have a gallery of Berlin Garden and Pollywood. Come in now for the best prices of the year. Sunshine Furniture, $12.95 US 1 in Vero Beach. Don't miss the 50% off winter sale on Tommy Bahama and Lexington going on now. Visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com and visit our outlet store directly across the street.
Winner of the Tony Award for Best Play, Master Class, takes you into the world of opera legend Maria Callas. Hear her life-altering lessons as she teaches, inspires, and challenges her students. Based on real-life classes Callas delivered at Juilliard, this is a glimpse into the soul of one of the 20th century's most celebrated artists. Her voice, her artistry, her legacy. Masterclass is now playing on the beautiful Waxlack stage at the Riverside Theater. Tickets available now at the box office or online.
Hey you! Host your very own show every week at Evergreen Media Network in Vero Beach. Go live to YouTube and Facebook with up to 4 people and your very own producer. Be heard on more than 15 podcast platforms and local radio. All you have to do is show up and talk. Your guests can join from anywhere in the world. It's easy to get started with the largest podcast studio on the Treasure Coast. Contact Evergreen Media to tour the studio.
Welcome back to Treasure Coast Connector. I'm your host, Ellen Contreras, and I'm with Miriam Cala-Morrissette of MCM Project Management. And yeah, I've been fangirling all over you. I've been doing this show for 5.5 years, and what you have to offer is so unique. And I was in construction staffing when I lived down in Broward County, and so I just know enough to be dangerous, but it's very scary when you open up your house to people coming in, and so I'm not going it alone. You're here
yes,
now.
Yes.
So with that said, what I want you to do now is take some time and tell us what type of services you do offer and the area in which you work in.
Okay, well, as far as the area is concerned, at the moment, actually, I'm working throughout the state of Florida.
Wow.
Because the business is just catching on,
Yeah.
and people contacted me. So I'm in Fort Myers, I'm in Jacksonville, but of course I want to do more work locally, which would be Treasure Coast.
Because you live in the Treasure Coast.
I do.
Okay.
I do, and it's easier, of course, if it's closer by. And then, the Treasure Coast and Palm Beach County, probably not further south than Boca, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, for the area. When somebody would contact me and want to start from scratch, that, like I mentioned before, it would really be about the budget first.
Okay.
I mean, you just have to, first of all, with the choices that are out there, and the options for financing too. I know construction lenders, again, if somebody has their own, that's fine.
I introduced you to Esta. I like her for financing. I think she's awesome.
Right.
I'm fangirling all over that lady too. So that's a whole other. That's why they call me the connector. I don't even know which camera to look in. This is a whole new studio for me. But yeah.
Yeah. So, I can assist with that. If there's somehow a real estate transaction involved, I do have my license, but I do, for the most part, I focus on the project management, which would be starting from the beginning, figuring out the money.
Okay.
And then, like I mentioned before, the contractors, depending on what you're looking for. Now, there also it can get even more cloudy when you bring in designers.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
If you're doing something that has a structural component, you have to have a building permit.
Okay.
Okay. And, there are definitely renovations that are more complicated. And then if you have to have a building permit, you have to have plans, and an engineer has to stamp them. So I'm going to help somebody hook up with the right designer and then even an interior designer if they wanted that. So that's where we would start, because there would be a concept of what they wanted. And then, like I said, a designer or not. And then we go into the schedule. Again, as we talked about a minute ago, a lot of people will go up north and then they'll have their renovation projects done while they're gone. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing some of that on the West Coast right now. And, a home watch person isn't going to be able to coordinate everything without the experience.
Right.
So,
yeah, because I was saying in the break, I know some people who they get the keys, the people go up north, and then they say, I'm going to have different contractors come in and do some work. So just let them in, you know? Yeah. But I wouldn't want that.
No.
That's
not a good idea. It's always good to have somebody managing it. And that's pretty much where I would come in, either whether somebody is in town or out of town. I could also, if somebody was having a major renovation on their home, I could help them find alternate living arrangements as well, if they needed that.
Oh, nice.
Because some people need temporary housing, if you're really tearing up their place.
Sure.
So once we know a schedule, take into consideration holidays, vacations, all those things, then we would get into the contractors. And again, it depends on what they're looking for.
And then you would kind of know which contractor to choose that has a specialty over another one. And then, of course, the ones with amazing reputations.
That's right. That's right. And we of course, would still do the due diligence of checking on their license and their background and their referrals and everything, about the company. Luckily, I know so many companies that do renovations. I would always offer that first. And then, then, like I said, it depends on what kind of project it is. So if there's some exterior work that has to be done, then, there's a whole different set of contractors for that, as opposed to just an interior renovation.
Yeah. Well, what I was thinking of is, like, for example, when I told you when we bought our home, it was taken down to the studs inside and rebuilt. And I am sure, being that it's an older home, that there were safety things with plumbing and electrical, right, to be considered. And then when that is addressed, then there are what I call the pretty things, like, what do you want your kitchen cabinets to look like? Finishes. Thank you. So do you help people with that?
Yes. So if for some reason it's a home where plumbing, electrical, mechanical work is being done and it's out of code, then again, this is where the permit will come in, and probably an architect and engineer as well, because they're going to have to design a new plumbing system or any electric, mechanical that's going to be up to code. And designers are really the ones that are the expert on the code. Yeah. So it's all possible. It's just that, it's going to be more expensive. It's going to take more time. Yeah. But it's definitely possible on an older home. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wonderful. And what if it's a singular project, meaning a roof? Okay, because we're hearing, and I shouldn't joke, but it's like, oh, your roof is 5 years old, so you need it replaced, otherwise you're not getting insurance. And I'm exaggerating, but it's a little frustrating, right? Yeah. So if someone, though, really does say, yeah, my roof does need to be replaced, when it's just that thing, can I call you
Yes.
for that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
I have the resources for roofing contractors and roofing permits.
Mm-hmm.
I have relationships with the building departments. So it could be something as small as, a bathroom renovation
Mm-hmm.
or, like you said, a house that's been torn down to the studs.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And sometimes I think people, like to do things in stages. So they may say, I have a laundry list of things,
Mhm.
but I don't expect it to be done all within this year.
Mhm.
So they might want to do one piece and then let it
Absolutely.
rest for a while and then do something else and let it rest for a while. So you're happy to work.
Yeah, it would be called like a phased schedule.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's what I would. That's
Yeah.
what I would.
I was
offer.
testing you. I knew that phrase.
Yeah.
No, I did not know that phrase. Not at all. But yeah, sometimes somebody might say, I want all the bathrooms. I have 3 bathrooms in my house. I want them all done, but not necessarily all at the same time. You know what I
Right,
mean? Something like that. So, okay. So that's a good thing. And then, yeah, my mind is like
Mhm.
racing
Yeah,
because
it's a
I'm
lot.
thinking of all the things, for myself.
Mhm.
But we did in the first half talk about your contact information. Now we're in the second half. Oh my goodness, we're almost out of time. Give your contact information, please.
The company is MCM Project Management. Short is MCMPM. My email address is miriam@mcmpm.net. Phone number 772-932-1214.
Very good, very good. Yeah, I was actually thinking I want to introduce you to Libby Weissman, who is the sponsor of this, show. And Libby Weissman, her team at Senior Transition Navigator, Luxury Homes of the Treasure Coast, they work with seniors and their families. She does amazing work, and you can get a free consultation by calling 772-783-2800 or visit the websites seniortransitionnavigator.com and luxuryhomesofTheTreasureCoast.com. This was another thought I had, is we have phases of our lives, right?
Mhm.
So somebody can buy a starter home and then be like, yes, now we're ready for some help. So you can help them elevate their starter home. And then seniors, as we get older, all of a sudden, I'm even thinking grab bars aren't such a bad thing. So for people that are in their 50s and 60s, right,
Mhm.
you could help them with the safety aspect.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Safety is a huge thing no matter what. I mean, during during the construction,
That's okay. No
part of
worries.
my part of my management duties would be that the site would be safe the entire time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Cindy's letting us know that
Mhm.
she's going to cut us off rudely in 2 minutes. Okay, maybe not rudely. She has a job to do. So with 60 seconds, what would you like your last 60 seconds to be? What would you like to touch on?
I'd like to say that homeowners have it's really difficult these days,
Yes.
and it can be overwhelming. It can be it could hurt your family, ruin your marriage. I've heard.
Yes.
I am here to take that stress away,
Mm-hmm.
where you can just sit back, relax, while I take care of getting your renovation done and your vision becomes a reality.
Yeah, I love that so much because I have seen friends of mine that do get very emotional about their home and they bicker and it just is very stressful. So you are going to take the stress away.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so I'm just going to look at the camera and say, you've got to call Miriam because I just think so highly. And Cindy is now asking me to wrap up. We've got to wrap up. Okay, I know it was very fast, but I think you should come on again at some point in the future when you can talk about some other projects. And with that said, my name is Ellen Contreras, host of Treasure Coast Connector. I hope that everyone has a safe, productive, wonderful week. And until next week, I miss you already.